This is the Synthetic Signal Report for Thursday, July 9th, 2026, in the morning. Today, we analyze the landmark Federal Trade Commission settlement regarding the right to repair for John Deere equipment, the European Parliament's approval of the controversial message scanning regime known as Chat Control 1.0, and a sophisticated phishing campaign targeting Russian aerospace sectors. We also monitor new exploitation techniques in agentic AI and a persistent data extortion campaign.
The Federal Trade Commission has finalized a settlement requiring John Deere to provide owners and independent repair shops with the same diagnostic tools, manuals, and software access previously restricted to their authorized dealer network. This agreement mandates that John Deere make these resources available through publicly accessible portals for all agricultural equipment manufactured since 2022. This is a significant structural shift in the agricultural sector, ending the practice of software-locked hardware that forced farmers to rely exclusively on proprietary repair channels. By legalizing independent maintenance, this settlement restores sovereignty over expensive farming hardware, allowing for faster repairs and lower operational costs. It serves as a template for other industries currently enforcing restrictive digital locks on consumer and industrial goods.
The European Parliament has voted to approve the renewal of a temporary message scanning regime, widely referred to by critics as Chat Control 1.0. While the proposal includes conditions aimed at protecting end-to-end encryption, it effectively mandates that service providers scan personal texts, emails, and social media messages to detect illegal content. Privacy advocates argue that this infrastructure creates a permanent surveillance layer within digital communications. The policy requires tech companies to implement server-side or client-side scanning algorithms, which researchers warn will inevitably weaken encryption protocols and create new targets for state-sponsored or criminal exploitation. This development marks a transition toward mandatory automated content moderation at the transport level. A sophisticated spear phishing campaign has been identified targeting Russian aerospace and aviation research institutes. Attributed to the threat group identified as Werewolf, the attackers impersonate legitimate research organizations to deliver password-protected archives containing malicious installers. The attack chain utilizes living off-the-land techniques, specifically abusing legitimate administrative tools such as AnyDesk, Blot, and WinRAR to establish persistent remote access. The operators configure AnyDesk for unattended access and exfiltrate configuration data via SMTP. This campaign highlights a continued reliance on high-trust, low-detection methods to compromise strategically sensitive infrastructure in the aerospace sector.
Security researchers have identified a new class of vulnerability dubbed HalluSquatting. This exploit leverages the tendency of agentic AI models to hallucinate software URLs or package repository paths. Attackers can register malicious domains that match these hallucinated paths, tricking automated agents into downloading and executing arbitrary code during the model's tool calling process. Because this vulnerability is rooted in the fundamental architecture of large language models, it affects virtually all currently deployed agentic frameworks. It is a critical warning for organizations integrating AI agents into build pipelines or automated maintenance environments.
Community chatter is currently concentrated on the following high-priority items. First, security teams are responding to public proofs of concept for remote code execution vulnerabilities in OPN-Sense firewall systems. The flaw allows an authenticated attacker to chain file write operations to achieve root-level access. Organizations are urged to patch to the latest firmware versions immediately. Second, there is intense discussion regarding the rise of data extortion campaigns, specifically the Helix campaign, which leverages multi-factor authentication fatigue and SharePoint exfiltration to coerce victims. Third, the open source community is reacting to research demonstrating that verified GitHub commits are not globally unique. This discovery complicates identity verification for secure software supply chains and is forcing a reevaluation of trust mechanisms in collaborative development environments. Finally, researchers have disclosed multiple heap-based buffer overflows in the GNU Libre DWG library, impacting the file handler component. Users of software dependent on this library should monitor for updates to mitigate potential arbitrary code execution risks. No notable emerging tools were identified on GitHub today, reflecting a period where developers are prioritizing security audits over new project launches.